Hey, I understand a lot of people are off today, it's Monday. It's weird. Christmas on Saturday, Sunday. I can't remember the last time that happened. Maybe it was last year. I don't know. I literally can't remember. It felt a little weird. Like, okay, it's Christmas was yesterday, and then just back to work. It felt weird. Showing back up in the office the very next day, but the news doesn't stop, and I've got a responsibility to all of my viewers. If you enjoy my coverage, I have but one ask. I'm pushing hard for the end of the year. If you're an unsubscribed viewer, I appreciate you watching my videos greatly. I do. But it would be awesome if you click that subscribe button down below. It helps YouTube figure out that people may actually want to watch my videos. Now, on Christmas Eve, Matt Taibbi dropped some other interesting files, as well as a new poll by Eliza Blue, or data puts out that says 63% of likely U.S. voters believe Congress should investigate whether the FBI was involved in censoring information on social media sites, according to Rasmussen. What's interesting is, why isn't that 100%? I mean, I'll take 63, but that's a low number. Should certainly be, golly, in the 70s at least. It seems like, there is a bit of Twitter files fatigue. I see it in my own viewership numbers. And I think it's because it's like, man, this is bad. Here's a new story. This is bad. Here's a new story. This is also bad. Elon actually had it during an exchange or an interview. He said that basically every conspiracy theory about Twitter ended up being true. And he's not wrong about that. Now, Christmas Eve, Taibbi dropped this: Twitter and other government agencies. After weeks of Twitter files reports detailing close coordination between the FBI and Twitter in moderating social media content, the Bureau issued a statement on Wednesday. It did not refute allegations. Instead, it decried conspiracy theorists publishing misinformation whose sole aim is to discredit the agency. They must think us unambitious. If it is our sole aim to discredit the FBI, after all, a whole range of government agencies discredit themselves in the Twitter files, why stop with just one? The files show the FBI acting as a doorman to a vast program of social media surveillance and censorship, encouraging agencies across the federal government, from State Department to the Pentagon to the CIA. The operation is far bigger than the reported 80 members of the Foreign Influence Task Force, which also facilitates requests from a wide array of smaller actors, from local cops to media to state governments. Now, what we do know is, based on the Foreign Influence Intelligence agency or group, they claim that they were always looking for foreign, like state media and propaganda and all that kind of stuff. But they certainly seem awfully interested in Johnny Two Follower from California, or Jim Bob Farmer MAGA guy with 0 followers on Twitter. A chief end result was thousands of official reports flowed to Twitter from all over through the FITF and FBI's San Francisco field office, which we all know ran by Elvis Chan. On June 29th, 2020, San Francisco FBI agent Elvis Chan wrote a pair of Twitter execs asking if he could invite an OGA to an upcoming conference. I don't really know what that means. Original gangster? It also, I guess, stands for other governmental organization or agency. Can be a euphemism for the CIA, according to multiple former intelligence contractors. Chuckles one, they think it's mysterious, but it's just conspicuous. Other government agencies, the place where I worked for 27 years, says retired CIA officer Ray McGovern. So he's saying, they're talking about the CIA. It was an open secret at Twitter that one of its executives was ex-CIA, which was also why Chan referred to that executive's former employer. The first Twitter executive abandoned any pretense to stealth and emailed that employee, quote, Used to work for the CIA, so that is Elvis's question. Senior legal executive Stacia Cardell, whose alertness stood out among Twitter leaders, replied, "I know, and I thought my silence was understood." Yikes. She then passes on one conference details recently hired ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker. Sunlight conference tomorrow. No need for you to attend. Carnegie is doing all the heavy lifting. I offered to assist Nick and Yoel, but there are no academic papers to review or anything. I was involved in the early scoping of the joint project as well. I invited the FBI, and I believe that the CIA will attend virtually too. Please let me know. 15, I invited the FBI, CIA will attend virtually. No need for you to attend. The government was in constant contact with not just Twitter, but with virtually every major tech firm. These included FBI, Facebook, Microsoft, Verizon, Reddit, and even Pinterest, and many others. Industry players also regularly held meetings without government. One of the most common forums was the regular attending of the Multi-Agency Foreign Influence Task Force, FITF, attended by spats of executives, FBI personnel, and nearly always one or two attendees marked OGA, which CIA probably is what people say. The FITF meeting agendas virtually always included, at or near the beginning, a OGA briefing, usually about foreign matters. Hold that thought. Despite the official remit being foreign influence, the FITF and the San Francisco FBI became conduit for mountains of domestic moderation requests from state governments and even local police. You see here, "Hi Stacia, FBI Minneapolis requested that I put you in touch with Lieutenant Hoff about some recent activities, which I've provided below. I'll let you two take it from here." And this is just, we don't know, I guess, what they actually said. Many requests arrived via teleporter, a one-way platform in which many communications were timed to vanish. I wonder why they use that. Especially as the election approached in 2020, the FITF/FBI overwhelmed Twitter with requests, sending lists of hundreds of problem accounts. Email after email came from the San Francisco office heading into the election, often adorned with an Excel attachment. Our FBI Baltimore identified these Twitter handles and tweets which appear to provide misleading information. There were so many government requests, Twitter employees had to improvise a system for prioritizing and triaging them. The FBI was clearly tailoring searches to Twitter's policies. FBI complaints were almost always depicted somewhere as a possible terms of service violation, even in the subject line. But what they were really saying was, we need you to take this down. They were not saying, as far as we've seen through all these Twitter files, has there been any tweets that the FBI reached out and asked Twitter to put back up? Don't think that happened. Don't think we're going to find any times where the FBI was like, "Hey, maybe could you put this tweet back up?" Twitter executive noticed the FBI appeared to be assigning personnel to look for Twitter violations. Quote, "They have some folks in Baltimore field office and at HQ that are just doing keyword searches for violations. This is probably the 10th request I've dealt with in the last 5 days." Even ex-FBI lawyer Jim Baker agreed. Odd that they're searching for violations of our policies. What do you mean, our policies? You're the same company, bro. You work for the FBI now. When they want inconvenient truths removed from your platform, you do it. And you sing a little song while you do. The New York FBI office even sent requests for the user IDs and handles of a long list of accounts named in a Daily Beast article. Senior executives say they are supportive and completely comfortable doing so. It seemed to strike no one as strange that the foreign influence task force was forwarding thousands of mostly domestic reports, along with the DHS, about the fringiest material. This is Biden using scorecard and the hammer to, this is like, random website that has 2 visitors. The foreign meddling had been ostensible justification for expanded moderation since platforms like Twitter were dragged to the hill by Senate in 2017. Yet behind the scenes, Twitter executives struggled against the platform claims of foreign interference supposedly occurring on their platform. Because it wasn't. I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but that's not what they were worried about. The Twitter file shows execs under constant pressure to validate theories of foreign influence and unable to find any evidence for key assertions. Quote, found no links to Russia, says one analyst, but suggests he could brainstorm to find a stronger connection, meaning I will lie to find it for you. This is insane criminal stuff. Quote, extremely tenuous circumstantial chance of things being related, says another. Quote, no real match using the info, says former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth in another case, noting some links were, quote, clearly Russian, but another was a house rental in South Carolina. In another case, Roth concludes a series of Venezuelan pro-Maduro accounts are unrelated to Russia's Internet Research Agency because they're too high volume. The Venezuelans were, quote, extremely high volume tweeters, pretty uncharacteristic of a lot of the other IRA activity, Roth says. In a key email, news that the State Department was making a wobbly public assertion of Russian influence led to an executive, the same one with the OGA pass, CIA, to make a damning admission. Quote, due to the lack of technical evidence on our end, I've generally left it be waiting for more evidence, he says. Our window on that is closing, given that the government partners are becoming more aggressive on attribution. Translation, more aggressive government partners had closed Twitter's window of independence. Other agencies ended up sharing intelligence through the FBI and the FITF, not just with Twitter, but Yahoo, Twitch, Cloudflare, LinkedIn, and even Wikipedia or Wikimedia. Former CIA agent and whistleblower John Kiriko believes he recognizes the formatting of these reports. Looks right to me, he says, noting what was cut off above the tear line was the originating CIA office and all the copied offices. Many people wondered if the internet platforms received direction from intelligence agencies about moderation of foreign policy news stories. It appeared Twitter did, and in some cases, by the way of the FITF, FBI. These reports are far more factually controversial than domestic counterparts. One of the reports tied to Ukraine, bad guy from WW2 propaganda. This includes assertions that Joe Biden helped orchestrate, everything something that happened back in 2014 and put his son on the board of Burisma. Another report asserts that accounts claiming Biden administration of corruption in the poke distribution are part of Russian influence campaign. Often intelligence came in the form of brief reports, followed by long lists of accounts simply deemed to be pro-Maduro or pro-Cuba or pro-Russia, etc. One batch had over 1,000 accounts, over 1,000 accounts marked for digital removal. So the FBI and the CIA was just saying, yeah, get these people off your platform. One report says documenting purported rights abuses by committed by Ukrainians is directed by Russian agents? Huh? Often intel reports are just long lists of newspaper tweets or YouTube videos guilty of, quote, anti-Ukraine narratives. Interesting. Sometimes, not always, Twitter and YouTube blocked the accounts, but now we know for sure what Roth meant by the Bureau and by extension, the IC. The line between misinformation and distorting propaganda is thin. Are we comfortable with so many companies receiving so many reports from a, quote, more aggressive government? The CIA is yet to comment on the nature of its relationship with tech companies like Twitter. Twitter had no input into anything I did or wrote. The searches were carried out by third parties, so what I saw could be limited. Yikes. I mean, the fact that it extends to YouTube and Twitch and everything else, I mean, I'm not surprised. Make sure you leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I hope I've earned your subscription. Working hard to do that. And we'll talk to you again real soon.